Today on the program, it's August, but there's still plenty of news. The Department of Justice has launched an investigation into the Southern Baptist Convention over their handling of sexual assault claims. Is this an appropriate use of police powers on behalf of the abused, or is the government meddling into religious organizations? We'll talk about that today. In addition, a group of Marines have won an early legal victory in their case against vaccine mandates. We'll tell you what happened and what it might mean for other soldiers threatened with dismissal for their refusal to get the COVID vaccine. Also, Dr. Fauci has announced his retirement today. What's his legacy? Also, is the COVID pandemic over or not? We'll talk about all of that with Dr. Jay Bhattacharya from Stanford University, one of Dr. Fauci's academic nemesis. All about this, and we'll talk all about that at the end of the program today. But our headlines for today. Earlier today, a federal judge formally rejected the Justice Department's argument to keep the affidavit that led to the search warrant for former President Trump's residence under seal. Now, Judge Bruce Reinhart cited, quote, intense public and historical interest, end quote, in his filing this morning, adding that even if such disclosures are burdensome to future cases, the unprecedented nature of the raid warrants such transparency. Now, the Department of Justice has until noon Thursday to propose a redacted version of the affidavit for release. What will this mean? Joining me now to discuss this and other news from Washington is U.S. Representative Ralph Norman. He serves on the House Oversight Committee and the House Financial Services Committee and is a member of the House Freedom Caucus. He represents South Carolina's 5th Congressional District. Congressman Norman, good to see you today.
Great to be with you, Joseph.
Now, first off, how does this morning's filing, I want to talk about the affidavit news and the judge's decision not to suppress the entire affidavit. How does his announcement today differ from what we learned last week?
Well, I think the public pressure is getting to him, Joseph. I think he knows that the credibility of the FBI and really the DOJ is under scrutiny right now. And it's a two-tiered system of justice, one for Republicans and then one for Democrats. So I think, the redacted version is what it concerns me, that they're going to have to release all of it at some point, and then to stress that it's not it may have national security overtones and they can't release it. That's kind of strange when they have no interest in any of the national security concerns with Hillary Clinton. They have no concern with Hunter Biden, with the SARS, the suspicious activity reports and dealings with China. No curiosity there, and so many other things. So they're going to have to release it, and hopefully the redactions, they're going to have a real good explanation as to why that is.
Congressman Norman, to that point, theoretically, what would the Department of Justice be concerned about? What information could exist in that affidavit that would be inappropriate to release to the public?
Well, it's their interpretation. The words that they say are, it could hinder the investigations of national security concerns. But now, look what happened. The 45th president's home was raided. They picked the safe. They would not let any of the lawyers or any of President Trump's people look at what they're taking. Evidence could have been planted, and it's just a miscarriage of justice, and the American people see through it. So their words say that it could hinder future investigations. But again, that's not what their history has been. They've zeroed in on President Trump, and it's for political reasons, and that's the only thing that it could be. And so we'll see how it turns out.
Well, your colleague, Representative Mike Turner, seems to agree with you. He's the lead Republican of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. And over the weekend, he was on CBS's Face the Nation. Here's what he said about the Mar-a-Lago raid. Let's play clip one.
And the American public want the Attorney General focused on issues like human and drug smuggling at the border. They were Chinese espionage, out of control crime in our cities. But if you're going to turn to this, if you're going to turn to the former president and Mar-a-Lago, they want to make certain that this is to the highest level. There's an imminent national security threat, and this affidavit will tell us, did they even allege so?
What's your response to his argument there?
He's exactly right. I mean, he hit it on the head. This is just a diversion tactic to take the focus off what is the irreparable damage that this country is going through with open borders, with drugs killing our young people, and with the violent crime that it brings with it. And so, for them to focus on a presidential candidate, which is what they're scared to death of. And so I think they're trying to build a case that would disqualify him. There's no other reason that they would focus on him like they have been. It would be interesting if he was not a presidential candidate. All this would go away. They know that he upsets the apple cart when it comes to the DOJ and showing so many things that are wrong with this country and getting them back right.
We're speaking with Congressman Ralph Norman from the great state of South Carolina. Congressman Norman, I want to bring up a new topic with you because the White House just announced this morning that President Biden is going to host a summit to stand against racism and hate-fueled violence. We all oppose racism. We don't like hate-fueled violence. So in one sense, we're all on the same team here. But what's your reaction to this summit he's planning?
It's interesting, Joseph. The Summer of Rage, after the Dobbs ruling, you had 34 attacks on churches, 53 attacks on pregnancy centers, fire bombings, vandalism. You had over 150 cities that were completely torn to shreds. You had a Supreme Court justice whose life was threatened. Not one word from Joe Biden to hold the people accountable. In the case of the would-be assassin on the Supreme Court, not one word on holding the rioters who tore up the cities and deaths resulted. Not one word on why the Vice President, Kamala Harris, put up a bond for the rioters, which basically fueled, what they were doing and insulated them from any kind of consolation for doing what they did. His words are meaningless. And again, the American people see through this. And for him to focus now after the fact, where's he been for the last 19 months on all the things that have been done to this country? He hasn't. He's trying to I imagine he will focus on racism, which we all agree racism is wrong. But again, it's a diversionary tactic to a terrible last 19 months directly caused by the Biden administration.
Your colleague, Representative Dan Crenshaw from Texas, over the weekend was on CNN's State of the Union, and he was asked about the violent rhetoric coming from the right post Mar-a-Lago, and there have been threats against the FBI and a lot of anger in response to that. Here's what he had to say. Let's play clip 2.
And I'll tell you what frustrates Republicans when you hear that kind of criticism is, last time I checked, you had even the White House spokesperson saying, yes, people should be out protesting in front of Supreme Court justices' homes, even after Brett Kavanaugh had his life threatened by this. And so, there's a double standard that frustrates the Republicans quite a bit when we talk about these issues. Again, doesn't make it right. I like to be on the side of it's all bad no matter who's saying it.
Representative Norman, now, do you agree with the double standard? And how do we get to a place where Americans from the left and the right can come together and just be opposed to things like racism, which we're all opposed to?
Well, we're just going to have to start holding people accountable for what they're doing. Dan is right on the would-be assassin for the Supreme Court and the people that went in the yards of the justice. Why aren't they arrested? That's against the Constitution. Why their focus on what Maxine Waters said would get in their faces? How is that not racism and advocating violence? How about the Speaker of the House saying that the rioters, when she was asked about it, they just do what they do? But it's accountability, it's stopping lawlessness at any level, regardless of whether they're a Republican or Democrat. You don't put up with that. And this administration simply has remained quiet on the tearing up the cities and all the other things. And but yet when it comes to Donald Trump, and when it comes to saying the right has done this, it's baffling to say the least.
Are you concerned, Congressman, that this summit to stand against racism and hate-fueled violence is really just an effort to frame political opponents as hateful and violent in advance of an election?
We'll see what he says, but look at his history. He's always actually incited it by the words that he uses. And it's all political with this administration, just like it's all political and intentional on what he's doing to this country over the last 19 months. So I don't see anything's different. I don't see that he will change. I think he'll focus on trying to make a political statement. And it's just words. His actions don't back up what he says. If he were really sincere about holding people accountable and stopping the violence, he would have accountability procedures like Ron DeSantis is doing on the 20 that voted illegally. He's arrested them, which is what should happen, with what's going on in this country. But he has no. President Biden is the cause of so much of it by staying quiet. And look at the catastrophe on the border that we've got. He has no intentions of shutting that down. And you're talking about violence, talking about the drug cartels, talking about the young people that are dying as a direct result of his policies. It makes no sense. And I see no meaningful words that he would say that he's going to back up other than trying to score political points, because he knows his party is about to lose power, particularly in the House, and I think they will in the Senate as well.
Speaking of losing power, Congressman Norman, you were part of a group who wrote the House Freedom Caucus wrote a letter to GOP leadership regarding the potential of a lame duck spending package. In about 30 seconds, what are you trying to accomplish there?
What we're trying to do is not have the budget ends on, the fiscal year ends September 30th, not pass anything until after the elections in January. We do continual resolutions all the time, shut the border down, be energy independent, stop the COVID mandates, and unleash American energy. That's what we've got to do.
Congressman Ralph Norman, we greatly appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for being with us.
My privilege. Thank you.